But that's not the only show you've been on recently. I just watched your second episode of Pop Culture Jeopardy. Can we talk about it?
Yeah, it's aired. It's out there. So, and this airs. Yeah. So yeah, we're all good.
Sweet. First episode, fantastic. Tim, I don't think you've gotten around to seeing it.
I have not yet. My apologies.
I am your guest on your podcast, and you have not done the proper research in order to.
Nick is the other host.
That's fair. Yeah.
First episode's great. You guys are like losing, or you're winning. They're playing Whitney Seibel.
Oh no, I've seen the first episode.
Oh, you just
I just haven't. Oh no, I haven't seen the new one yet. You've seen the new one.
We're gonna spoil it. We're gonna spoil it for you.
Oh yeah, okay, that's fine.
You guys did not win on the bubble. Did not win. Nick Harley, by the way, killed it in this second.
Phenomenal in the second game. I'm watching it, but it's hard because in the moment, it's so much fun watching it back. We shot this in August, and like you're in the moment, you're under the lights. It's crazy. Like you don't really know how it goes. All I knew is that I didn't answer a lot of questions in the second game, but that's all I really remember. But I didn't remember like the format of things. And like watching it again, like Nick was on fire, like on that one in terms of and like I knew he would have gotten all those like the very tough music questions that Rocky, who was next to us on like the stagehand, like he knew all those too. It's just again beats the buzzer. But yeah, Nick was great.
I need to know because how does that buzzer system work?
So in original Jeopardy, there's a delay. Like if you buzz in incorrectly, then there's a 0.25.
What do you mean incorrectly? Like before?
If you buzz in beforehand, you get locked out for 0.25 seconds.
What's the beforehand? Like finishing?
Oh, so before, the very end of the sentence. There's somebody who like activates the light as soon as they're done with like the very last syllable of the question itself, and then the buzzer goes on, and then you have to click. You have to time it perfectly in order to do it. If you buzz in too early, you're locked out for a little bit of a second. But from my understanding, for Pop Culture Jeopardy, because there was 9 people on the stage, there was no lockout. So it's all about the timing. So as soon as the last syllable is said of the sentence, there's a little light that we see that like turns on, and then but you have to do it like it's the preemptiveness, right? You have to like be pressing it like right before. You can't like think and ready.
So it straight up could have just been like one team was better at clicking the buzzer.
It's tough, yes, because. I mean, really, because
which episode is it? I'm sorry.
Sorry. Episode 29 is the second episode. Okay. Yes, it is really a buzzer, especially in Pop Culture Jeopardy, which we have said all the time. Like, there's a ton of questions again that like we like as a team, somebody on the team knew. It's not like we didn't know the answers, or I mean, I didn't know any of the music ones. That's what like Paul and Nick were for. Like, I don't know, but like somebody on the team. There's like a 95%, I would say, like somebody on the team knows the question. So it's not about knowing it. It's about timing of the buzzer and facing personality hires who were great, but like they were prepared in terms of like they were all Jeopardy players beforehand. They were there beforehand. They wore like Zach, the guy was wearing like gloves like in the green room to like keep his hands sort of fresh. And I was like, oh, that's probably a good idea. But like, it's like because it's all about the buzzer. It really is.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But no, so unfortunately, yes, we did not win the second victory. That first match was crazy because we were against Whitney Seibel, which was a big surprise on that day to be in there.
And the people Whitney was with were like 10 times better than he was.
Yeah, she was great. His wife, I guess, was like she was crazy on the buzzer, which was the super funniest thing happened is the peek behind the curtain. So like there was a practice period like right beforehand where like all 3 teams go out and you get a chance to practice on the buzzer to get the timing. In practice, us 3 killed it. Like we were just dominating the practice rounds. So then and you play like 10 questions and we got like eight of them, in terms of like, hell yeah. Like,
you think that was part of their strategy? Like let them think
could have been because as soon as we walked back on stage, then they started answering a whole lot. And I was just like, oh crap. But then and then they pulled away. And then it sucks because playing Whitney, who is, he's a movie critic, and we're down by 5,000 points. And then the category pops up, which is, movie like film reviews of the 2010. So like, that's it. Like that game over. It's like
literally.
Like, of course he's going to get it. And then
you didn't know that you were playing him until the day of.
We showed up on that day and he was we kind of clocked him for a little bit. And we're like from afar, we're like, is that Whitney? No. I think that's Whitney. And then they ask us, we kind of go up and say hi. He had no idea who we were. He might have recognized Paul way more than he recognized like Nick and me. But even then he was just like, oh.
Paul was there. Paul was in the Schmodown longer, right?
Yes, he was. He was like for like 2 years or something beforehand.
Sure.
And it was funny because then on the there's the final thing where they announce the 3 teams that are playing that round, because you learn like a little bit beforehand. Whitney's team is one of them, and then it's us, and then they're like, is there any conflict? Like, do you guys know each other? I wanted to say no, like don't say anything, but Paul wanted to be the honorable one and be like, we should tell him. So he comes up to the guy and says like, we were in the Schmodown, and then you have to explain the Schmodown to like
I saw you try to do that to Colin Jones.
Yeah, I was like, you have to explain that. It's like an online YouTube show. And then Whitney had to come up, and it was super funny because then the guy asked, did you guys ever compete against each other? And like Whitney's like, nope. And like Paul's like, well, yeah, we did play like against each other. So, but then it was fine because I'm sure they researched it and saw that like, hey, it doesn't matter, like that sort of thing. But like it was completely random, and it was there like crap. So
if you're able, are you able to talk about behind the scenes stuff on it?
Sure, why not? What are they gonna do?
So, like, I'm assuming.
But disclaimer: if you guys want me back for the second, if Pop Culture Jeopardy producers are watching this and want me back for the next season, just skip this next part, probably whatever. Okay.
I'm not gonna ask like about the show specifically, but just like the day as a whole. Like, are you there for like 15 hours? Like, is it like
the audience has it much worse. Like my wife, who was in attendance along with those sort of things, like they don't know which game it is that you are playing at. We arrived, their call time was even earlier than ours. Our call time was like 10 a.m. There's a bus that takes us from the hotel there. My wife's call time, and like the people who like Nick's girlfriend and like Chandru from the Schmodown was like there because he was like roommates with Paul. So like they had to be there super early. Like the whole day, and they don't get like a lunch. They like they have to like they get a break where they can go out and there's like a vending machine in the sort of like the room, but they also don't, because we can't have our phones, so it's like we can't tell them like, hey, our game's coming up. So it's like so we were in a green room with everybody, which is sort of fun because then you can kind of watch it with other people.
Did you all take the same bus?
Yeah, we stayed. They fly us into the hotel, and then they put it like in the morning. They put us on a bus to like go to the Sony lot.
I'm just picturing that bus of like the survivor boats coming to the island, of everyone just like looking at each other like
it's a bunch of Pop Culture Jeopardy theater kids, which is makes a very interesting bus ride.
This was, you said, on the Sony lot in LA.
Yes. Yeah. In LA. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're in Vegas, right? Right now.
Yes.
So that's how many days were you there for this then?
We were the ticket was for like Thursday night, I believe. Yeah, Thursday like today, and then they give you the return ticket to Tuesday because they're like, and then that's like because if you win, you got to play the next day, but if you lose, then you don't. So, but I think we had a break. We had Thursday. We got in Thursday. I think we played Friday. We had a break on Saturday and then played again on Sunday. But like most of the people, if you're there, like your ticket is from like the Thursday to Tuesday, and you kind of just have to like stick around. Like I guess some people who lost in the first round like tried to get their tickets changed. I don't know if they did or not. But like they also have to like they don't know how long you're going to be there, so they just bulk everybody off for that time.
When you were on the in-between times on the breaks, were you with Nick and Paul talking about the game, or were you vacationing with your wife?
We had a good time on the vacation. We took like on the middle day, like in the downtime, like then we went and we did LA, and my wife actually wasn't there for the second game, to be honest. She only could be there for the first game. So the second day was just kind of like a tour. Like Paul lives in LA, so he took us around to like some of his favorite spots. Like, we hit like the touristy spots for Harley, who had never really been there. I lived in LA, so like I've known the spots, but like we went to like Griffith Park and walked around the Chinese theater. We did that walk and had lunch at a cool cafe and got brunch somewhere. Like, so it was a nice chill day before we got back into it.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. How did this come about, Jacoby?
Well, so they sent out that huge notice, like, in terms of like Pop Culture Jeopardy is going to be a thing. And I think at that point when it came out, for full disclosure, again, it's just like, I kind of missed playing trivia with Harley because after you play the Schmodown, she was my partner and I became really good friends with the guy. Then after it sort of ends, it starts to fade a little bit, in that sort of aspect. But like that moments of when you play was really great. So I knew it's like, I kind of want to try it again with him because I also knew he was like a music sort of fiend. Like he fills that gap of like
Yeah,
that all sort of thing. Yeah. So I was like, great. So I was like, okay, that's cool there. And then again, I talked to Paul like all the time too. And I knew he's like one of just the smartest guys. I just knew he'd be good at it. So I asked him too. And to try to like unite the two separate groups sort of together. And then it like worked out.
You said the notice went out. Like what are you subscribed to? Where you
sorry. They announced it that Pop Culture Jeopardy was going to be a thing. Like I saw that whenever they announced that for the show.
Like in Variety or on
they announced
there was a press release about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, okay. So they announced that sort of thing there. So I was like, great. And then I think I just subscribed to at that point I looked online to see what it was, and I was like, great. It's like pick your teams of 3 now and sign up for when you want to do it. So I was like, okay, like, and I already asked him. I asked Paul, and I think Paul was in high demand in terms of like part of our trivia community. He was like being asked, like, so I got to him first, which is
also like other people in our community were like trying out for this as well, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, I would say I know some people who did. I guess I won't name the names, but there were people who did as well in terms of that. But yeah,
pay more attention.
Was there an audition?
I should have asked you guys.
No, I would have only been good for like movie stuff.
I would not have been.
The stuff they asked, I was like, oh god, like they're asking about like Hot Girl Summer and like
that's a whole lot.
I'm just like, no, I would.
You want me there to wave a flag and eat a meal with you? I'm your guy. But to answer questions, I'm not there.
There's a lot about TikTok. I was like, I would.
Yeah, it's great. It was a lot of.
So there was an audition process then?
Yep, there was a test that you take that was like 50 questions that you all take individually, but it's timed. So it's like hey, 15 seconds per each question. So you can't cheat. You don't have really time to cheat or anything like that because you have to answer quickly 50 questions. And then you all 3 do them individually, and then it sends in. Then we heard nothing. Then we got back a Zoom audition.
When was that?
Had to be like in May, I think, of last year.
So that was
it was like around. I think so. It was like May, but then we shot in August. So it's like May was I think around that time of like the first audition of like the test, and then they shot in August. I think is the time period of the chunk of time.
That's still crazy to me because when I think of like production and stuff, like my brain immediately goes to like you hear about a movie that's announced and you don't see it for 5 years or whatever because I live in the world of like big budget movies at the movie theater that I'm like working at and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, to like hear about something, audition for it, shoot it, and it's released by the end of the year. That's crazy.
Oh, especially the time because again, like so we did the test, which was great, and then we hear nothing for like a while. It's not like immediate, so it's like okay, I guess like it's done, and then like a very long time later, then we hear back so like, hey, we want you to do a Zoom audition, which is everything, which is basically you going up against another team, maybe 2 teams. We were up against one other team, and at that point, it's really not about the knowledge; it's about your teamwork, and it's about making sure you can understand the charisma and making sure you understand the rules of the game, which sometimes the teams that you're up against like do not like in terms of that. Like they have to prompt you.
They were playing Bamboozled.
Yes, I think so.
Understand that reference? No,
I should. My wife loves Friends, but I don't remember the Bamboozled episode.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
let's play Bamboozled.
It's a bunch of different rules, and they're like, "We're just gonna make it a quiz show." That's very cool.
Now the real. Oh, sorry, Nick. I had a very important question.
Please go.
Yeah, shut up, Nick. Okay.
Did you meet Scarlett Johansson?
I did not.
Is Colin Jost nice?
He was. He seemed like he was into it. Like, and he was like he didn't seem like he was checked out. Yeah, like he's solid. There was some some growing pains in terms of whatever you're a first time host for anything. I imagine there were some things that like we weren't prompted on that first daily double and that first question, and that in the first one where like we knew the answer, but we were kind of waiting to be like, and your answer is, and then we were going to answer. But that's why it's like we just stand there in fucking silence because like we're just like kind of waiting. But like he was great. He seemed very involved. He seemed very like wanting to make the game good.
I don't know much about Colin Jost because I don't watch SNL, but I've seen he was on an episode of Impractical Jokers. His brother is actually the direct. I'm a big Impractical Jokers fan. His brother is the current director of Impractical Jokers. Casey
Randy
Jones.
From That 70s Show. Wait, a different brother, not Casey.
Different brother, I think. Casey
Jost family.
Colin Jost, who again I don't know very well, seems like the guy that bullied the nerds in high school. So if that's accurate, which it might not be,
I haven't gotten that vibe. That's interesting.
I have to imagine he's just standing there trying not to be like, you freaking nerds.
I don't know if he's like the nerd guy. I would imagine I only have minor interactions with him and I can only base this off of like a SNL persona that he sort of crafted. But he sort of seems like this, like, man, isn't this crazy? Like type of like
he's married to Scarlett Johansson and he's like,
yeah, he had to make the, I guess he had to make the move at some point. I guess she was a guest on the show and she was like, hey, you're kind of cool, like whatever. But like, I don't know.
That's the opposite of what a nerd does.
Yeah,
stereotypically, of course, but but I thought he did good, and definitely in later episodes, he's definitely like cracking jokes, and it's smooth and stuff. But
for sure,
are you tuning in for every episode now, Jacoby? Like, are you enjoying the show, or
maybe for my future reference, I need to say yes to this, but if I'm being honest, I've watched 2 episodes. Episode 7 and episode 29.
We started watching a bunch. We started watching a bunch. It's kind of fun to have on like the background and just answer questions and stuff.
Sure,
but there's an element of it that I'm watching. I would imagine like if I watch it, then it's an element of like, man, I wish we would have had that round, or like I wish we would have played these players instead, like sort of thing. I think I would get too involved in that mindset. So it's tough for me. You know.
Did they say anything to you when it was over? Like where you would need to like re-audition to come back, or was there any...
I don't think there was a lot of like, we don't know what this show is, when it's going to air, and because at that point it didn't really have an air date, and they were like, maybe it's going to show in end of 2024, maybe 2025, we don't know, type of thing.
Fair.
So
are you planning on applying for more reality type shows of this
reality type? That's maybe
reality / game shows, because now you have it. You could be like, yeah, check me out, I was on this show.
I was on
Virtual
Survivor. I got to rank that. It's like, it's a Virtual Survivor.
Quite frankly, that show shows a lot more of your personality than
standing there where I have to smile like an idiot for like most of the time. Yeah. If I have to rank it based on what my mom loves more than anything, it would be Virtual Survivor number 1. Then probably Pop Culture Jeopardy, then this, trivia, like online trivia, and then Schmodown, I would think is the ranking of what my mom likes.
I'll just say this here because you just did it and we haven't actually cleared it up. We know Multiplex still exists. We're rooting for their success, and we're not afraid to acknowledge it.
Oh, yeah. No, that's true.
Yes.
I'm glad you brought up your mom. I'd like to talk about her.
Oh, great.
Honestly, I thought she was going to be on the show today, and then it wasn't until...
that wasn't me. I know.
It wasn't until right when we hit...
I'm sorry.
It was right when we hit record that Nick broke it to me that she wasn't going to make it. Was she offended by my foul language?
No, she loves you guys, and she loves, especially...
That's awesome.
Yeah, she loves the show, and she loves when you guys host and go through some things. I'm like, she's like, and like hosting Virtual Survivor. I'm like, Nick, she's like, I love Nick for how he's especially doing Virtual Survivor in terms of thing. I'm like, yeah, you met him, and she's like, no, I have not. I'm like, he was here. You like,
I met her very briefly. We
like
stopped by your house, and your mom was like on her way somewhere else.
Yeah, and I was just gave her a hug, and I'm like, yep, you have met him. She's like, nope, never met this man before ever in my life. Like, he was here. I know you met him very briefly, but
Nick
she loves the trivia.